Welcome to another edition of Beyond the Game, presented by Tunnel Vision Sports. I'm your host, Stephen Hayes, and today our guest is athletic director, Michael Duffy for Adrian College. Michael, how you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you very much for having me on.
No problem. Thank you once again for accepting the invitation. And I know before we started recording, we were talking about some success that you've had. And for those who are not familiar with you or with the athletic director position, I just kind of wanted you to touch on that. But you come from a very well-rounded background and you have such great experience in that position. So having over 30 years of experience being an athletic director and being in the sports media world, everything that you've seen, everything that you've done, how did this all come about for you?
Well, back in March 14th, 1960, I won't go back that far. Born to a Catholic family, and we didn't have much, no. I did grow up in Jackson, Michigan, went to a Catholic high school. My senior year, we won 6 state championships in my senior year. So we won football, cross country, baseball, golf, and women's cross country. So men and women's cross country. So we had quite a senior group. Went to Adrian College, played football, had a great junior year. We went 10-0. My senior year, we went 8-1. Or 9-1, I'm sorry. And, had a great career. Left, wanted to go into coaching, started a coaching career that lasted, I was a associate assistant head football coach in my last few years, but I coached football for 22 years. I coached baseball for 10. I coached track and field for probably another 8 or 9 in there. But I think all that prepped me to be the athletic director, and kind of worked my way up through the wings. Became athletic director in 2004 under Dr. Docking, who was then the new hired president. I guess the rest is history. We started in 2004. Adrian College was struggling enrollment-wise. We only had 16 teams at the time, 8 men, 8 women. We had 6 staff members in the athletic department. We actually played football at a local high school field. Our baseball was at a city park. Our softball was at another city park. We were just a Midwestern school struggling to keep our doors open. We implemented our enrollment growth model where we did it through extracurriculars. You can say athletics, but extracurriculars also include band, orchestra, theater, but we all recruited and we hired people to recruit. And, if you want to fast forward over all those years, we started the likes of hockey. I have 7 hockey teams. We started skating program. I have 3 synchronized skate teams and 1 figure skating team. We started men and women's lacrosse. We were the first ones in the Midwest to start that. First ones in the Midwest to start NCAA hockey, Division III. We have off-brand sports like bass fishing, cornhole. We started a cornhole team. Let's fast forward to today, and I'm 50 teams strong. I went from 6 staff members to 84 staff members, and we're thriving. We went from 750 students back in 2004, and we're at 1,800 undergrad, and we probably have another 250 grad students. We started some grad programs in the last 15 years. So great growth, a lot of hard work. It's roll up your sleeves, blue collar style, and get the job done.
And for you, I love the word you use, thriving, but seeing all this come into play, but knowing from where you started, how does that make you feel? Just you personally?
Yeah, me personally, gratifying. I'm very humble. I want my students, my coaches to get all the accolades. I don't need accolades. I didn't recruit one of those kids, I take that back. When I coached, I did recruit, but in the last 15 years, I haven't recruited a kid. Yes, I talk to them on campus visits. I'm very polite, cordial, welcoming. So it's humbling to get the accolades for an athletic department that I'm just part of. I just happen to coordinate 84 people, and they all do their jobs and they do them well, and we're successful. And that's just so gratifying to see where we were even 20 years ago and to see where we are now. We have 9 facilities like football, baseball, softball, track and field. Everything's back on campus. And it makes campus vibrant and energetic and just a joy to be at. And so that I think is what's gratifying. You know, my dad was a factory worker, didn't go to college, was in the service. You know, he taught me nothing comes free. And if they say it's free, it's not free. There's something there that's going to cost you at some point. So just roll your sleeves up, do what you know, that I was brought up to do, is be honest, be truthful. Sometimes I'm too honest, but you know what? If it gets me in trouble because I'm honest, then so be it. That's what we're going to be. I'm straightforward with people in what we do and how we do it. It's not a secret. So I think I was brought up in a way where you just put your nose to the grindstone and good things will happen if you work hard. And I don't mean 8 to 5. I mean, it's come in at 8 and leave when the job's done. If it's 5 o'clock, great. If it's 6 o'clock, great. If it's 10 o'clock, oh, well, you know, sorry, honey, I missed dinner tonight. You know, that lacrosse game went in overtime and I had to stick around. So I think that's what some of today's society has lost focus on is hard work. It's nothing's easy. It takes work. And you know what? On Friday afternoon, when I go home, I can sit down and say, wow, look at that. That we really did that. And that's exciting.
And I wholeheartedly agree. And that's one of the reasons that we started Tunnel Vision Sports. And that's one of the reasons we started the Beyond the Game is, as I told you earlier, is to give the next generation something to look forward to and something to understand. It's not going to come easy at all times. I wanted to touch on something. You were talking about the things that you guys have accomplished. You accomplished something very amazing in the last 2 years, I want to say, or correct me if I'm wrong there, but Adrian College is now the host for the Michigan High School Athletic Association for women's wrestling. Is that correct?
We started that 4 years ago. We at Adrian, we got into women's wrestling and you know, I went recruiting with my coach one time and we went to a game or a match. And this young lady, God bless her soul, she had to wrestle a counterpart, and it was a male. Oh, and wow. You know, and I give her credit; she beat the male, which was great. But I took my coach and we walked out, and I said, "That's got to stop." What in any other sport? We don't play football against the women, which I'm not knocking women. I'm not knocking anything, but doggone it, in the world of Title IX, why aren't we wrestling women with the women's program? And why aren't we wrestling folk style in high schools for those young women? And, you know, so we kicked it around and we did a first ever Division III national tournament for college women. And to piggyback on that, in early February, I talked to Mark Ewell with the Michigan High School Athletic Association and said, I'm going to put on a state tournament for wrestling. And he goes, Mike, we already have one. And I go, no, this one's just for women. Just for women. The women can come here and they can wrestle women. And I'll tell you what, you want to talk about the first year we did it, we had 240 young women, grades 9 through 12, come and wrestle off. And you thought, even though we're in Little Adrian College's gym, we're not nothing spectacular. There's plenty of other great gyms in this country or in the state of Michigan, like Michigan's Chrysler Arena and the Breslin Center and, you know, some of those. But we had it here at Adrian College. We had 240 athletes. And you thought when they walked in, they couldn't believe, well, who we wrestling today? I said, well, you're wrestling women in your weight class. And they went, there's no guys. And I said, no. And they're like, oh my gosh, we got a fair opportunity to try to win our weight class. And they were so excited. So we did that for 2 years. And Mark, God love his soul, at the Michigan High School, they took it over. And now they run in conjunction with the men, with the men at Ford Field. So you got like 8 or 9 mats with the men, and then four or five mats with the women. And you wrestle to a champion. And what a great thing. And you know, talk about 50 years of Title IX. How about that for something that you can hang your hat on?
Absolutely.
And be excited about. And to see these young women thrive and do well is just spectacular. So yeah, that went off really well, and very excited for the state of Michigan and Mark. And from that day, I believe like 12 or 13 more states now do split championships. So I feel like we started something that was good, and it's really grown in the sport of women's wrestling.
And I want to congratulate you and everyone at Adrian, you know, for starting that, for having the wherewithal to say, you know what, this is the way we want to do it. And for you to have that vision to say, you know, this is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to do it. And for it to catch fire the way it did, like you said, with Mark Ewell and them taking it over, and now it's at Ford Field. But for you and everyone at Adrian that was involved to get this off the ground, things like that, you know, that's what takes a vision. To be able to see, for you to be able to say, you know what, no, this is the way I wanted to do. And I understand, and it's definitely not a knock against women, but let's be fair. And I love the fact that you had that mindset about it. And, you know, for you guys to start it, and then for you to see it starting to blossom the way it is, you know, that just speaks volume to you, to everyone at Adrian who was involved, to everyone who's understanding, you know, the common goal here.
Yeah.
And,
well, thank
you know,
you. And it's, you know, people say, you know, it's vision, and it's almost common sense. But it is. It's my coach, Cliff Couchard. He's on the state of Michigan board for women's wrestling, and we got it going. And we now, when we started women's wrestling about 6 years ago, there were maybe 6 or 7 teams across the country. Well, we're cresting pretty close to 40 plus programs now. So
oh, wow.
we're on the emerging sports status now for the NCAA. If we can hold 40 schools that have met the criteria, which is sports sponsorship, which is number of competitions for a year that have 7, and minimum roster number, which I think out of 10 weight classes, you got to have 5. If you hold that for 2 years, the NCAA will pick up the tournament at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But we started the national tournament here at Adrian. We've hosted it 4 years now here at Adrian College, the national tournament. And we finally got big enough where Cedar Rapids, Iowa is going to take it over next year for 23 and run the national tournament for us. That's where the NCAA Division III men have been, I think, for the last 10, 12 years. So I'm working with them, and we're putting on the national tournament out there next year for the collegiate women.
And that is truly awesome. And since I'm in the conversation of congratulating you, I have to congratulate you and everyone at Adrian on your hockey season, your championship. The first one in history, correct?
First NCAA championship
First
at Adrian
NCAA
College.
championship
Yep.
at Adrian
NCAA
College.
men's Division III hockey.
Now, I want to get the whole feel, but Michael Duffy, let's set aside real quick. What was the first reaction that you had when it was over and you realized we did this?
I went up and gave my coach a big hug, and I said, "Is it true? Did the clock go off? Are we ahead? Did we really do this? Did we pull this off? Are you kidding me?" So it was really, I don't think it really sat in until we got the next day, Sunday. We literally had to drive from Lake Placid to Boston, which was 5 hours the wrong way to go home to catch a flight, because that's how the NCAA booked it. I think we looked on the bus and we go, "Wow, we're national champs! Like we're King Dog this year." we won't even think about next year, but right now we're king dog and we get to brag about it until next March, so we got a full year to brag about it. And it's humbling. I got home and I gave my wife a big hug and I said, wow, I did it in my career. I got us over the hump. We got the first NCAA. We've had other national championships. Club baseball won one. Our men's rugby team got to the national tournament this year, got all the way to the finals, lost in the finals. It's their first year. Bass fishing's won a national championship. Club hockey, ACHA, Division I and Division III have both won national championships on the men's side. So we won some national championships. But and I don't want to knock my other sports, but to win that first NCAA one, that's something special. That's something special.
And I can believe it because you hear in sports all the time, the first one is always the sweetest. So, and I wholeheartedly understand it's not a knock to any other sport, but to get this one, and you guys did it in dominant fashion. If I'm not mistaken, was your record 27-1?
Well, we won. We reeled off 30. I think it was 31 straight. We ended up 31-1.
31-1.
We went to our first game last fall in November, and we got hit with COVID. So we had to leave like 12 or 13 of our players at home. So we went shorthanded. Wow. We went out and played a great Utica team that was ranked all year. I think they were 4th or 5th all year. We went out there. We lost the first night 3-2, I think 3-2, 2-1, something like that. We lost by goal. The next night we came back shorthanded. Our kids dug deep and we won. And we didn't lose a game the rest of the year. We reeled off 23 straight in regular season. We finished the regular season 24-1. We're allowed 25 games. Then we won 3 in our conference tournament. Then we won the quarterfinals. Then we won the semis and the finals. So whatever that adds up to, it's 31, I think. So we're 31 straight wins. And what an accomplishment by our young men.
It's a huge accomplishment to not only win the first NCAA, with the hockey team, but to do it in that fashion. And you, like you said, on a shorthanded feet, and congratulations to all you guys, the coaches, the players, everyone involved there, because that is amazing. When I saw that, it put a big smile on my face, because that means a lot. And I just wanted to know, so with all your experience, everything that you've seen, everything that you've done, everything that you've accomplished, how have you, I guess you can say, battled through the tough days? Because I know there has been some.
Yeah, there's I always tell people when I hire, especially support staff, like administrative assistants or athletic trainers or strength and conditioning. Athletics is up and down. Every day it's up and down. Somebody wins, somebody loses. Somebody didn't play well, somebody played great. And my job is to taper that. And we want to win with poise and grace, not rub it in, if that's a better adjective. But we also got to learn how to lose. And yeah, it should sting, but we can't pout about it. Doesn't do any good to pout about it. Go back to the drawing board and make yourself better.
Right.
I think it's taking it day to day is something I've learned forever. There's no use. It's like professors tell you when you come to class, here's the syllabus for the whole 15 weeks. The kids start looking at it and their heart's pumping and, oh my God, I got to read a book and write 7 papers and I'm never going to get it done. Well, yeah, you're going to get it done. You take it one day at a time. What's due tomorrow? Only look at that line. That's what's
right.
due tomorrow. Do it. And if the professor throws you a curveball in class, then you do that assignment and you get it done. It's the same way I tell my coaches, look, day at a time. Recruit a kid today, have them on campus, have a kid on campus tomorrow, and your recruit goal is manageable. Same with wins and losses. Hey, you might have beat the number 1 team in the country today, but you know what? That's over. And now you're going on to the next game. And guess what? They know you beat the number one team in the country. Guess what? I want to beat that team because you beat
Right.
the number one team in the country. So you better be
Absolutely.
ready, pal. It's short-lived. And so I think it's, positively. Don't get me wrong. There's days I gotta harp on people, and that's just part of the job. Budget's one of those things. Everybody wants everything, and they think I got a money tree in my office, which you can see I don't have any trees in my office. And so, it's tempering everything and being humble, being gracious, being thankful. One of the biggest thing I tell my coaches to do, I don't care if somebody gives you $10, you write them a thank you. And I don't mean email it, and I don't mean text it. I mean, get out a piece of paper, write a little
You
note,
physically right. Thank you.
put it in an envelope, and you
Right.
mail it. People get more enjoyment because they understand. In today's world, heck, I could grab this and I can send 1,000 thank you notes in a matter of minutes. But to sit down and literally take one and pen it means a lot, because it took you 5 minutes to do that. And you wrote something sincere for as little as $10 or as much as, $5,000. I mean, those are all important, and you never know what it's going to bring you if you do that.
Wholeheartedly.
That $10 one might end up being 100 the next time.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. And that's a great way to look at that, because people pay attention to time and effort.
Yep.
So text is nothing, it's easy to do that. And like you said, email, but to sit there and say, you know what, no, I'm going to think of some words. I'm going to think of a way to put this into words, write it down. I like that. And
it's amazing today, the number of young people. I asked one to kind of do some return envelopes for me. Put the person's name on it and put their address on it. And the young lady came into my office and she sat down at my desk and she had tears in her eyes. And she goes, "Mr. Duffy, I can't do the project you gave me." I go, it was like 25 envelopes. And I'm like, "Well, what's the matter?" "I don't know how to address an envelope. I've never had to." Because she's used email, she's used text messaging. And I go, "Well, guess what? You get to learn today. Sit down right here and I will show you how, and we'll walk through it, and I'll show you exactly how to do it. And then what I want you to do is I want you to write a thank you note to your mom and dad, and I want you to handwrite it and put it in the mail and tell them you learned today how to write a thank you note on paper." And she did it, and her parents called me and said, that's probably the best thing she's ever learned in college, bar none. And this was a senior young lady, a senior. She'd been here 4 years, and she did not know how to address an envelope. We've lost this kind of stuff. We've lost track on some very simple, thankful methods in our world today. And, to show a young person, just think of all the people, and maybe her kids, when she has kids, what she'll have them sit down and write grandma and grandpa a birthday card.
Right.
Instead of texting them or emailing them or FaceTiming them. That's always fun to do, where you can look at grandma and grandpa right now, but to literally grab, not a store-bought card, something that you drew, you took some time and effort to do. That'll be on grandma's kitchen refrigerator a heck of a lot longer than that text message or whatever.
And I can wholeheartedly agree with you with that, because my wife does it with our two girls.
Yeah.
And with my mother, my father, or her mother and her father, she'll go buy the hand paint, buy the paper, and she'll do everything, to put
makes
your
a little
hands
mess in your kitchen table.
Yeah, right.
The attitude and the fun that they had to do that is priceless.
When we go to our parents' house, whether it's her parents or my parents, we see them. We know those cards and stuff is still there, and that means a lot to them. So it makes us understand, and it makes us appreciate, and makes us go back to what we were taught. It makes us understand, the value in effort, the value in time to be able to do stuff like that. And I agree with you, the generation that I've grown up in, and the phone and everything has taken over, but you don't realize the impact you can have if you do take the time to sit down and, write a letter, it's something simple as a thank you goes way longer
Yeah. And
than,
that's something
a-
that Dr. Docking, when he came in 2005, that was his big thing. You thank them for anything. If they gave you a shoelace to put in your shoe, thank them, because
love
you
that.
don't know what it's going to turn into and what it might project to us down the line. And the other thing that's big in my up and down world is I kick my coaches out. I probably don't practice this as much as I should, but I kick my coaches out of the office. Like, you need to go home. You got a family, you got 2 young girls, get your butt out of the office. I'll stay late. I'll watch the game. You go home. You've made enough recruit calls for the day. Go take those young girls and walk them around the block or play with them in the backyard. Do something with your family. Because sometimes I think we get tunnel vision, and I know I do. My wife says I'm probably married to my job more than I'm married to her. And it's probably true. Matter of fact, it is true, but it's important for me to make sure that these young people put the hours in they need to, but also take some time for yourself. Take some time to regenerate your batteries and calm your nerves over a long season. Like I told Adam Krug, my hockey coach, relax, dude. You just won a national championship. Go enjoy it. Just go relax. Go spend some time with your family. Soak it in.
Right.
He's already worried about next fall. Good coach. Dude, next fall is a long time away.
Right.
Just drop that for now. Just enjoy it for a couple weeks. They don't come around that often. That may never happen again.
Right.
You better enjoy it right now, because next fall, the first game you got, that team's looking to destroy you.
Absolutely.
You're the defending national champs. So
Now the target is on your back.
you.
Yeah. And I want to ask, I normally, before we end this, I always ask my guests to leave words of encouragement. But before we get to that, I just have to know, because you seem like you're on all the time. Like, it's just always, like you said, you can get the tunnel vision, and you can go. But what does a relaxed day for Michael Duffy look like?
Well, I kind of did it on Sunday. I had my first day off in probably, I want to say 35, 40 days, because we had competitions and the national tournament, and, I was going on. And so I had all of Sunday off, and I spent the whole day outdoors. I rolled my lawn with a water roller behind the tractor. I helped, I have some elderly people that live next door. They're 80 some years old, and I helped them trim some trees and cleaned it up for them. I came back, and I'm getting ready to retire at some point here. And I was fixing my garage. I have a barn that I have a workshop in. So I'm trying to figure out, okay, how can I do this? And my wife had 3 little projects, because I tinker a little bit with wood, and I had to fix an Adirondack chair and fix a bed stand. She wanted a little cup holder on her bed stand so it didn't tip over. And so I got to do all that. My phone was in the house. My wife said, she came out at one point and said, your phone is just dinging off the hook. And I said, well, leave it on the counter, because I'm offline today.
Right.
I'm outside. I'm enjoying the sunshine. I have some acreage, so I got to walk around my acreage and just enjoy the day. I didn't have to think. I didn't have to tell somebody what to do. My wife actually told me a lot to do. I mean, she had a list. Oh my word. If I retired today, I think she'd keep me busy for the next 15 years with little projects around the house. But that's kind of my day off. That's, if I was if we have a cottage up in the UP in Michigan, I'd be out either ice fishing or fishing. I'm not very good at it, but you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm out on a lake, and it's beautiful, and you can enjoy the beauty of your surroundings. So
an off day is more of a work day, but it's a relaxing day.
Yeah.
And I can wholeheartedly understand that.
That's right. It's in that phase, it's not work. It's not work.
I agree. It's something that you're doing at your pace. It's something that you want to do.
correct.
I wholeheartely agree with that.
Yeah, I don't have to be in a 4-hour meeting. I don't have to,
right.
get this game started or get that person on the bus or nope. It's, gee, maybe I don't want to roll the lawn at this moment. I'm going to go over here and do this, or whatever, we get it. And everybody's different. And there's just something about doing that kind of work at home is way different than sitting behind a desk and kind of directing people and making sure you get 50 sports going in one direction. Sometimes it's tough.
I can only imagine. And my wife is like that, but I've had to explain to her, like, I have to have something to do, but I don't always have to be doing work. As long as I'm doing what I want to do. You might look at it as work, but I'm actually doing something that's peaceful.
Yeah.
I'm actually doing something relaxing. So it's just me staying busy. So and I can wholeheartedly agree with that. So I love your mindset with that. And lastly, if you could leave some words of encouragement to our viewers and to the next generation, what would those words be?
Wow, that's throwing me on the spot here. I think words of encouragement are, it's an old cliche, but you can really do what you set your mind to do. I mean, if you want to try to do something, then by God, you can find people that'll help you try to do it. You might not be very good at it, but that doesn't matter. The matter is you tried it, you went through it. It's what I told my son. At one point in his life, he was playing football, which that was great. I loved it. And he came to me and said, Dad, I finished the season, but I don't want to play football. And I said, well, you got to do something. What do you want to do? And he goes, I really want to be in the band. And I go, be in the band then. Be the best damn band member you can be. And he ended up being the tuba player, and he learned it in like 3 weeks. I don't know where he got this musical stuff, probably from my wife, because it sure ain't for me. And he was instrumental, and they had the Ohio I, but he did the Adrian script, and he got to dot the I in Adrian. So full circle. I mean, just
right.
Get out, do something you love. I mean, if you got to do something for 38 years like I did, you might as well do something you like.
Right.
And you don't have to be good at it. You learn every day. And if you're not learning every day, then you really need to evaluate what you're doing, because even the simplest thing and the gratification you get if you're teaching somebody how to do something, i.e. the young lady that had to write the envelopes out. Wow, you talk about a great day. I went home, told my wife that, and it was probably the most enjoyable day of my life. And it was a simple thing. And so I think we need to slow down a little bit in our lives and enjoy the good things, winning a national championship, or
right.
or even, enjoying a loss is not really the thing, but enjoying that your team was out there and pick the good things out of it. Yeah, you didn't win, and you know why, but you know what? You can't beat them to death over that. You gotta bring out the good. You gotta try to get them to go forward. And if that coach can't do that, then it's time for change. Maybe you need to go somewhere else so that you get refreshed, and that we bring somebody in here that is refreshed and can go in a positive direction. I think it's important that we do that. My whole thing here is, yeah, your job's important, but it's not number one. Number one
right.
is your God, your religion, however you look at that and do that, that's your decision. Two
right.
is your family. Go. If your family calls, your kid's sick, get out of here. Go. And three, then your job can come into play. But do something you enjoy. Do something that you feel you're still learning. If you're not learning at that job, ask the employer, can I get promoted? Can I get more duties because I've got this mastery? Or maybe
right.
it's time that you move on and you go somewhere that they will do that. But I think those are some words of wisdom I think I've learned over the last 38 years in higher ed and coaching and everything else.
And those are really great words of wisdom, and I appreciate you believing those. And again, I want to say thank you for taking the time out to sit down and talk. I really enjoyed this conversation because it helps me to
Hopefully we can
learn.
continue it. Send me some stuff like we talked off the air, you know. I'd love
Absolutely.
if we can get some Adrian College kids there, maybe do some internships with you. And I think they could learn from you as well.
Absolutely. And I thank you for that. And I will be sending you over some stuff. And again, thank you for being a part of the show. And this is our guest, Michael Duffy. I'm your host, Stephen Hayes. This is the Beyond the Game podcast. And until then, we'll see you next time.